Well, through other news, you can get interactive. Facebook, JoyNews on TV. You can also tweet at us. We have a Twitter handle at JoyNews on TV, and you can watch us live regularly, not only through myjoyonline.com, but through MyJoyOnline TV. It's a channel on YouTube. Now, straight away, let's get into our stride with the latest news update. We start from Parliament, and minority members of Parliament, they're accusing government of insensitivity towards the plight of cocoa farmers over a decision not to increase the producer price of cocoa for the 2018-2019 cocoa season. The Minister of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Akoto Owusu-Efriye, announced Monday that government will maintain the price of each bag of cocoa at 475 Ghana cedis. Government says it is unable to increase prices despite the depreciating value of the Ghana cedi because of the declining price of the commodity on the world market. Member of the Finance Committee and NDC MP for Bia East, Richard Champong, is challenging Cocoa Board to cut down on its high operational costs and rather channel that money to farmers.
As I speak, the free fertilizer distribution has stopped and the farmers are asked to buy it at 80 Ghana cedis. School has reopened, and you look at the price of goods and services in the country. Lorry fare has gone up, cocoa prices have gone up, everything has gone up. So the disposable income of the cocoa farmer is going to be worse off. So they are pleading with government to at least increase the cocoa price for them so they can also make ends meet. They can also afford the goods and services you and I are affording. But they are raising the issue about the price of the cocoa on the world market price.
Yes.
But
isn't that justified? Isn't that justified? Where will government get money from to pay more for the cocoa?
Go to the headquarters of Cocoa Board. They've increased their administrative costs. They've increased their administrative expenses. So if you are telling me the cocoa farmer should not be given an increase, why are you increasing the administrative cost of those people living at the headquarters, living in air condition? The poor farmer who produces the cocoa for you to earn this income is not given any reward in this respect. So these are some of the things we're talking of. They are saying they're doing hand pollination. As a result, they'll get more yield. It's not 100%. It's not every farmer that's benefiting from the hand pollination. But if 100% of the people were not benefiting from the free fertilizer distribution, when you increase the price, each and every farmer will also benefit. So these are the arguments. And it's not only cocoa that we can use to sustain the cocoa farmer. We have other revenues. That's why we brought in the subsidy to cushion people who used to buy the petrol product. It's not everybody that owns a vehicle, but if there's a leave on that product, people will also benefit. So the government should find money. That's why we created the stabilization fund, so that when you were making a gain, you put in some money as a buffer. So now that the price has reduced, you bring back the money and give it to the farmers.
My last question will be the decision not to increase the prices. What do you envisage the impact will be on cocoa production going into the next planting season?
As I speak, there's no motivation for the cocoa farmer to waste his or her time cultivating cocoa again. Now many people are diverting to cultivating cashew. And some people are giving their lands for these galamsey operators because they want a bulky money. So they, assuming they are getting, let's say, 200,000, they can use the money to invest in other products than to waste their time, cultivate cocoa, and by the end of the day, their disposable incomes will reduce.
The Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana says it has intensified efforts to deal with the influx of counterfeit drugs and quack pharmacists, whilst also ensuring world standard practices in the industry. The Eastern Regional Secretary of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, George Atara Boy Jr., tells JoyNews they are currently joining forces with the Pharmacy Council, the Food and Drugs Board or the Food and Drugs Regulatory, and other regulatory bodies to clamp down on persons who pose as pharmacists and administer wrong prescription. Correspondent Kofi Siauna reports.
The World Health Organization report estimates that each year, over 800,000 people, most of them from Ghana and other parts of Africa, die because of fake drugs, as they are less expensive and more accessible than the original ones. Research has indicated that the production, distribution, and consumption of fake and substandard drugs, regardless of its form, can have great health implications. Speaking to JoyNews on the sidelines of a ceremony to mark this year's regional version of the World Pharmacists Day in Koforidua, the Eastern Regional Secretary of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, George Atara Boy Jr., stated that The fight against fake drugs must start from persons who pose as pharmacists and prescribe drugs over the counter.
Dispense medicines without even knowing what you dispense. They only know the names, they don't know what it does, the mechanisms of actions. We are looking at, in fact, the law enforcers also, we are joining forces with them to clamp down on these imposters. And that's why we are sensitizing our members or the public that if you visit a facility and someone poses as a pharmacist, kindly report him or her, because it's also a criminal offense. You are caught in the law, you will be put behind bars, you have penalty fines that you pay. So we are pleading with the public to, as it were, help us fight these imposters. What we are saying is the pharmacist is a pharmacist. He's been trained. And I mean, the way he or she presents himself, you get to know he's a pharmacist. These people, you see them in white lab coats. I mean, because by virtue of the environment they find themselves in, they feel they are like us, but they are not.
The society, as part of effort to reduce the tendency of the unsuspecting public patronizing drugs from unapproved facilities, has intensified its stakeholders' engagement and public awareness creation on fake and illicit drug patronage to help deal with the menace and curb the abuse of drugs. Silas Ejekum is the regional chairman.
When it comes to in-depth knowledge about everything about the medication that you take, you can tap that information from the pharmacist. And then basically that's what we want to disclose to the general public. And in fact, it's about letting the general public be aware the expert role that the pharmacist played when it comes to knowledge about medications. We have knowledge about side effects if you do not go according to our instructions. We have knowledge about what we call adverse drug reactions, which is very damaging to organs of the body if you go contrary to the rules and regulations governing medication intake. And these are the informations that we want to reiterate the point that if you make a mistake and neglect the role of the pharmacist in this regard, you are likely to even get yourself into a very serious problem.
Meanwhile, some beneficiaries, most of them market women, joined the public awareness exercise. Reporting for Joy News, Official Koforidua.
We take you to Kumasi, and students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology want government to revamp abandoned factories built by the first post-colonial government. The student parliament believes it will complement the One District, One Factory initiative and other job creation interventions to reduce graduate unemployment. Besides, members suggest it is a more effective way to remember Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, than observing a memorial day for him. From the event, Nana Yaujima reports.
The students say efforts at reactivating some factories credited to the first president has stalled due to what they consider political approach. Citing Kumasi Jute and Commander Sugar factories as examples, they want government to factor their proposal to its industrialization agenda. Frank Blay is Speaker of KNUST Student Parliament.
We as a house do not think Ghana is cursed to produce selfless leaders like Nkrumah and others. It is not very uncommon to see the country on a recycle of many career politicians in the political ambience who cannot simply leverage and moderate their glaring greed, but still with the law in advance for their entire generation. Come to think of it, a lot of the companies established by the Osagefo have been divestitured. Others have collapsed, and a lot non-existent. This is the country we live in. This is what happens to a legacy left behind. It is undoubted that a wise man does not foul his own nest.
Mr. Blay also calls on government to follow examples of developed countries by making Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's birthplace a tourist site. He believes it will boost the local economy of Nkrofo and drive national development.
We as a House find it interesting the role of past and present governments in ensuring that birthplace of Osagyefo takes a new look. We are tempted to believe that where the remains of Osagyefo is at the moment could be a major factor to the deplorable state of Nkrofo. Is it not sad that the body of the founder was exhumed and advantageously created a museum far away in the capital and left his people in utter rejection and dejection? In the event Osagyefo's body had not been exhumed from his place of birth, you would believe that the place would have seen a lot of developments. This is because a lot of tourists would visit the place, which would generate income for developmental projects.
Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Several kilometers away, the Bonafo region is to host another hydroelectric dam that will generate 55 megawatts of electricity to augment the existing power sources. Construction of the dam, which is expected to commence in February next year, will be completed within 2 years to assist in the industrialization drive of the Winchi municipality. The Dumokwahine of the Winchi Traditional Council, Ohineba Dr. Krabiri Boateng Teburi, who doubles as the Chief Executive Officer of Tapcon Ghana Limited, that signed a construction deal with some German companies, revealed this in an interview with JoyNews. Well, we have our reporter, Nesta Kafuyajuma, with the rest.
According to Ohineba Dr. Krabiri Boateng Teburi, the $120 million deal will also see the establishment of an eco-tourist site, an airstrip, as well as a solar power station to help create 2,000 more jobs within the Winchi municipality of the Bonafo region. He says the hydroelectric dam will be constructed in Rivertain.
The idea is that without energy, availability of energy, you cannot attract any industries to this district. So the first and the primary important thing to do is to generate energy. For that matter, we are envisaging generating about 55 megawatts of power and throw the 50 megawatts into the national grid and then use about 5 megawatts within the Winchi district. This will enable Winchi district to attract industries to our area.
Ohineba Dr. Krabiri Boateng Teburi said even though German companies will be at the forefront in executing the project, some local companies will be their partners. He further assured a strict adherence to local content in employing skilled hands for the project, as well as an establishment of a local technology transfer center to train the unskilled youth of Winchi in manning the hydroelectric dam and other agro industries.
Experienced German companies like Voigt, they have been responsible for supplying even our VRA with equipment like turbines, electromechanicals. Voigt will be responsible for that. We've signed the agreement. And then the next one will be IB Vogt. They will be responsible for the solar farm. And then we have an African company called WBHO. They are already based in Ghana here and they are in the New Months.
Chidomhene of Winchi Traditional Area, Nana Yebuaferi, who toured the eco-tourist site at Droboso near Winchi, expressed delight at the level of work done within a short period. He appealed to well-meaning citizens of Winchi who have the capacity of establishing such projects to join the industrialization train.
It's been great being here. I wish every Winchi citizen should be here and have a look of what Nana and his company are doing here. It's marvelous. It's marvelous. It's commendable. I will use this opportunity to advise every Winchi citizen, both within and outside Winchi, to emulate what Nana is doing, to bring recreational ground to Winchi citizens.
Nesta Kafuyajuma reports for JoyNews.
And before we go, Ghanaian pilot Solomon Kwenu of Emirates Airlines made history when he became the first Ghanaian to fly the world's largest passenger aircraft, the Airbus 380, to the Kotoka International Airport tarmac. on Tuesday. In an exclusive interview with Joy Business, Captain Kwenu urged the youth to work hard to achieve their goals in life. He also said he has come to the realization over the years that with passion, every dream could be achieved.
At about 11:50 a.m., the world's largest aircraft, the Emirates Airbus A380, touched ground at the Kotoka International Airport Terminal 3. The double-decker aircraft was piloted by the nation's own Captain Kwenu alongside a mixed cabin crew. According to Aviation Minister Joseph Kofi Adda, the historic landing is significant to the country's drive of becoming an aviation hub on the continent.
This means that we've come of age in the sense that we can take any type of aircraft from any part of the world, and then we have all it takes, all the gadgets, all the tools, all the services to support the landing and taking off of an aircraft, the service of an aircraft here. And so the Ghana airport has been improving itself over the years. Now we are where we can really become the hub for the sub-region and possibly Africa. I think we're coming back to where we used to be.
Managing Director of the Airports Company Limited, John Atifo, said his outfit will employ the highest safety and maintenance standards.
Safety is our major priority, and we've been able to get the award for the best airport safety improvement. Going forward, we want to do more, especially in customer service. So we've joined the Air Service Quality, Airport Service Quality program, which is run by Airports Council International. And that allows us to compare our services, our ratings with airports with the same capacity. We think that with that, it will put us on our toes and we will be able to serve our customers better.
The Emirates Airbus A380 can take over 500 passengers and comprises of multiple classes. The aircraft can boast of a private suite, a spa, and a bar. The economy class also comes with some luxury. A well-fitted entertainment set to make that journey a memorable one is not only preserved for the big payers, but also for the economy class. Sheila Tamaklu for Joy Business.
As a young boy growing up in Ghana from a relatively poor family, becoming a pilot was a bit of a challenge in terms of finances. But I had belief in my heart that I can definitely make it. So even when I was in school, I was dressing like a pilot, wearing my gloves and stuff like that, and keeping the faith. And but I had faith, I had determination, but never ever dreamed that I'll be the first Ghanaian to fly the biggest passenger aircraft for the first time into my country. And that feeling was just unbelievable. And on touchdown, when we exited the runway and turned onto the apron, my eyes were full of tears. I was just crying for joy.
I mean, I'm sure that some of the people watching us, or the youth in particular, people or kids who are growing up and have the dream to become like yourself, would like to hear some few words from Captain as to what they can do to one day probably fly, if there will be another bigger aircraft than the A380 that you have been flying.
Yeah, all the kids I see who I have a few mentors, people I mentor in the UK. We were mentoring a lot of kids from low-income background, and we did a lot for them. But what I tell them, a lot of them, when they see me, they say, "Oh, we want to be like you when we grew up." And I tell them, "No, don't be like me, because in order to move forward, your back foot should always go in front of the front foot. If it comes to where the front foot is, you are at standstill, you can't move forward. So aim to do better than what I have done. That brings progress. So I pray that you achieve your dream, but aim to do better than I have done. That is what brings progress. So I encourage them to be determined, to believe, keep believing, and regardless of the limitations and hindrances, once they believe and they are determined and keep believing and pushing forward, they will definitely get to their dreams and achieve their dreams.
Well, great determination and motivation there for everybody else. That's a good work. You know, sometimes pilots, what's Emirates? That's big one. Anyway, so we have more things to talk about. We'll be reviewing the newspapers And also we'll be looking at what the stories are, what your comments have been on social media. But as a leader, you must keep learning to keep up the change in a rapid environment. So, you know, we all have to do what we have to do. Mama Vioso Abuaje Kojo Yankson, we're all ready for the next segment. We're reviewing the newspaper. Stay with us.
AM News Headlines was brought to you by
Exeter Paracetamol, Ernest Chemist, because everyone needs a chemist.